the Isle of Man?
I think you're quite right. At the second reading, this bill was passed unanimously. Now, that's a major step forward in terms of people wanting, across the board, all members wanting to reform our abortion laws. What we had yesterday was the really difficult bit, the clauses stage, the nitty-gritty of legislation. And I was so impressed by the nature of the debate, some really, passionate arguments, but it was all done in an extremely mature way. And I think, I really hope we can reach a consensus now to go on. Some people, their amendments didn't go through. Some people, their amendments did go through. This, as I said at the start of the debate, this is no longer my private member's bill. This is our bill. This is owned by the House of Keys.
You said earlier yesterday that this was grown-up politics. So how difficult was it? Where do you differentiate between the politics and the ethical, the moral, the personal arguments?
I don't think you can in some ways, and which makes social policy like this so difficult, because you're bringing all your passions into the argument, you're bringing all your beliefs into the argument, you're also arguing on behalf of your constituents as well. We've been lobbied by numerous organisations, both on Ireland and off Ireland, so it's taking all that information into account, coming up with your own personal judgment that then you have to stand by, and then arguing your case. So this is very, very difficult, and I'd just like to thank my fellow members for the just the standard of the debate yesterday. It was I think really encouraging that 24 people, or 23 because unfortunately Martin Perkins wasn't there, but 23 people can sit down, debate some very, very difficult issues in the way we did.
You're obviously pleased at not just the progress then, but by the tone of the debate. You said you've said all along your primary focus was on the women in the island. Sure. The other side, the critics, say you paid lip service, or the proposals paid lip service to the rights of the unborn child, without opening up well-documented differences of opinion. Did you really think some of yesterday's amendments were attempts, I think as Mrs Kane, government member, said, to derail legislation, or were they genuine efforts for detailed and careful changes to be assessed?
Yes, yesterday everyone has the right to say what they want to say, but I do not think that there was a mood to derail the debate yesterday. Again, we passed the bill unanimously at second reading, and what people were doing were arguing on very specific points. You played just there Tim Baker talking about how you judge serious social reasons. That's a very difficult question. How you judge disability, how you judge the ability for somebody to have a meaningful life with disability. These are very difficult subjects, and I don't think anyone was necessarily trying to derail the debate or the passage of the bill. What a lot of people were talking about yesterday was the safety of women on the Isle of Man, and trying to stress that so that our legal framework did not have unintended consequences. And that was something that came up time and time again, that this is very complicated legislation about people's lives and we need to get it right. But I think there was a genuine will to actually progress and get a bill that actually works for the women of this island.
The quality of engagement in certain areas is concerning, is it not? Because a considerable number of your colleagues, it's human nature, only acknowledge something that suits them.
What do you mean by that?
In terms of, you speak passionately about what you believe in, but perhaps there wasn't the listening to some of the unintended consequences. There have been flaws in the clauses, which in some cases seem to have sort of been pushed to one side.
No, I disagree with that. This bill has had more scrutiny, I think, than any other bit of legislation we've had. One of the reasons there were so many amendments was there's a genuine will in the House of Keys to get this right. We're not relying on LegCo to do that. We're actually looking at every single word in this bill to get it right, to make sure it works. So I think the fact that we had so many amendments, so many passionate debates on all sides, not just from me, but from all sides, from Chris Robertshaw, from Tim Baker, from Alf Cannon, from the Chief Minister himself, from Claire Bettison, from Bill Malarkey, shows that there's an overwhelming will to actually get what I see as progressive legislation through, which makes us different, but actually caters for the needs of the women of this island.
You say different. It's radical, isn't it? England and Wales are now going to be much more conservative than the Isle of Man will be.
Well, England and Wales have had a problem since 1967 trying to bring their legislation up to date, and the political climate for that has not allowed them to progress. When we look at other jurisdictions, particularly Southern Ireland, they are moving forward with their debate. Other countries in Europe are moving forward with their debate. We're being part of that. We're catching up with the rest of the world, I see. And what we're doing is looking at the current evidence, looking at the current way abortion services can be provided, and making sure that we provide the best services for the women of this island.
Getting lots of comments in on this, and I'll try and put a couple of the questions to you before we're out of time. Just tell me, you said all along you didn't want abortion on demand up to 24 weeks. Respectfully, that is what we're going to get now.
No, I disagree with that, and I was quite clear about that during the debate yesterday. What we're doing is providing a legal framework for the provision of services. Now, the next step from this is the Department of Health and Social Care sitting down saying, right, how are we going to provide that? We've agreed that there should be one signature on the consent form, but that doesn't mean to say it shouldn't be a group discussion between the woman, her family, perhaps, her doctor, her nurse, her midwife, to arrive at that decision.
Dr. Allinson, you're an intelligent man, but there is on that point alone, there is a discrepancy, is there not, between what is being said and what is actually in the bill. In reality, the island will soon have abortion on demand right up to 24 weeks.
No, I disagree with you, James. If you look at the bill, there's lots of key words in there, such as the medical professional may provide services, the woman may request. There is a lot of words there about choice, both in terms of the woman herself, but also the health professional, that if that health professional does not feel that abortion is the best thing for that woman, he or she can decide not to provide that service.
Isn't this complete failure to offer any acknowledgement to the unborn baby?
No, I disagree with that as well. We had a huge debate yesterday about serious social grounds, about aspects of disability, about aspects of impairment, about how we balance the medical debate, the medical evidence, with very serious social, ethical, religious and moral issues that come into this whole debate. How we try to separate those but also respect them at the same time. And one of the things about this bill that I wasn't overjoyed yesterday. I was relieved that we had the debate.
Is that because some of the handful of amendments were supported?
No,
nothing to do with that.
Genuinely, that I don't think there are winners and losers with this debate. It's trying to bring through legislation that works. Some amendments failed, some amendments got through. This is now a group effort from the House of Keys to look at this legislation and trying to get it right. And as I said to you, I think there was a real, genuine will yesterday, not to derail it, not to turn the clock back, but to go forward in the right way. Now, I believe that we've done that, and what we now need to do, the rest of the clauses stage, is make sure the other members feel part of the process, that they have their say, and that we refine this bill more, because we've got some serious clauses still to discuss. For instance, buffer zones around hospital, for instance, conscientious objection clauses and protecting the rights of staff to have their say in taking part in services.
The majority of people are in support of that. I think the majority of members acknowledge that.
But again, it's getting the words right. It's making sure that it works. So in terms of abortion on demand until 24 weeks, no, we haven't got that. What we have got is abortion on request up to 14 weeks, which is extremely important because that will allow services to be provided to over 95% of women who need abortions on this island, without them having to be exported across to the UK.
Just finally, and we could talk about this all morning, we are out of time, just going back on the social grounds point, social grounds for abortion or whatever you want them to be, aren't they? The bill states it will be on the basis of the woman's perception.
It's the woman's perception, but also having a detailed conversation with our healthcare providers, being able to be given options and support. And again, there were parts of this bill, particularly in terms of consent, particularly in terms of anomalies that may be found with the fetus as it's developing, that go way beyond the UK, that actually provide information from organisations that are run and represent people with disabilities. So there's a huge amount of really, really progressive legislation here that's going to go through that is a group effort from the House of Keys that I think will really provide adequate services for the women of this island, but also protect other people, especially NHS staff.